Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest-running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome everyone to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 270 this week, and we've got a lot of topics to discuss with you in terms of social media to help you stay on the cutting edge. There's always something new going on. This week, we've got Kevin Kolbe joining Jim Fuhs and myself. We're going to be talking about WhatsApp carts. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown. We're going to talk about WhatsApp carts. We're also going to be talking a little bit about some Instagram stories timers. They're changing or trying to change up how the stories are kind of presented to you, I think, to create that sense of urgency. We're also going to take a look at another feature, and this one's actually pretty interesting. It's the fact that Twitter is working on the ability to limit replies to followers only. Pretty fascinating, actually. We've got some tools, and we also want to talk with Kevin because, well, Kevin just hit a big milestone on YouTube. He hit, I think, 2,000 subscribers. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Jim Fuhs, my co-host. Jim, fantastic seeing you again.
Great to see you, Christian. How you doing? And happy birthday yesterday. For those of you that didn't know, it was Christian's birthday yesterday. And
it was, yes.
And for his birthday, Launch Your Live hit 2,000 downloads. So we're pretty happy about that with the podcast. So did you plan that, Christian, to be on your birthday?
Not actually. It was interesting, though. I will say I was looking at the numbers, and I was very intrigued. I was like, okay, we're like 4 or 5 downloads away. I was like, great. And then I kept checking and I'm like, okay, we're going to hit that eventually. And we finally did. But yes, 2,000 downloads. Definitely, something that you have to work at. I will say, I mean, I like podcasting, but it's not something that like you can just all of a sudden attract an audience. Right. and Kevin knows that as well. I mean, we were talking before the show about his YouTube channel, where he started, where he's currently at. And, it looks like it's a bit of a snowball effect. So we'll talk with him here shortly. But do you want to tell viewers about Kevin, or you want me to just bring Kevin on and have him?
Yeah, let's bring Kevin on and let him introduce himself, because I'll say this, Kevin's a great guy, and I'm really glad that, I met him through you, and just love being connected with him and seeing all the great things he's doing.
Fantastic. So Kevin, great to have you back. I got to say, you and Scott Ayers and Dorian Moore and Van Dam, I think y'all are all, I think Scott's at the top, but you're all in the running, I think, to be the most frequent guest on the show. I mean, we always love having you back because you always have a lot to say, and share just really useful information. So thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me on here. I know that Scott and I probably he's probably got the lead in the hair.
Well, we're not really sure because he wears a wig.
Yeah. I rock the mullet.
I don't really know how much hair he has.
No, but thanks for having me on again, guys.
Fantastic. So you want to tell people a little bit about yourself? I know we have some questions for you later on, but I'm
a video coach, marketing specialist, and a content creator. I do help people get into and grow with video. So I'm not one of these guys that just stands back and do this. I'm actually creating myself and making mistakes and learning and figuring it all out. I have my own business, and I work with businesses, small, large, nonprofits, content creators, and just help them with video. I'm a dad, 3 amazing kids, beautiful wife who's way smarter than me and has the degree to prove that. Youngest son has special needs, so that's a whole different world that we got introduced to. But backgrounds in starting radio, got into television, and then do my own thing as a video coach, and just love opportunities like this, just to meet more people and hang with you guys. And yes, and I will also reiterate what Jim said. Happy belated birthday, even though I do think I posted to your timeline.
Right.
I think you did, actually. I still have to go back to all those. So thank you very much. And I mean, here's the thing. I have to give people who are tuning in some advice, and that's that you always want to have people surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, because they're going to, challenge you and push you, but you're also going to learn something. So thanks for joining us this week, Kevin.
Sure.
And Kevin put something in my head, and you guys might be able to relate, but I'm going to ask the question that was asked long ago on MTV. Kevin, did video now kill the radio star?
I don't. Well, here's the thing. I mean, radio. I started in radio, and it will always be my first love. I had actually a chance to get back into radio about a year or so ago. I don't remember exactly. Working for a station that I partnered with a lot as the creative director of a Fox station, so it was kind of surreal. But I mean, radio is no different than TV on how just things have changed. Has it completely killed it? I don't know. I mean, if anything, I think radio maybe gave birth to podcasting. I don't know if anybody's ever made that connection, but a lot of podcasting is really talk radio, if you think about it.
Exactly.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, but if anything, I think streaming probably killed a lot of the TV stars. Wait a minute, I can binge this on Netflix. I'm canceling the table. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they won't let you do that, I guess, entirely. I mean, there's some sort of mechanism in place. They want to keep you hooked in somehow. So okay, let's get to the social media news this week. So Jim, where do you want to start? By the way, I know we had quite a few topics. Is there one?
Yeah, let's start with WhatsApp. Has got a new feature rolling out, I think, worldwide.
Yeah, and this new feature, and I'm testing out a couple of layouts here in my StreamYard dashboard, by the way. So we'll see how this works out. Let's see. There we go. So we've got this feature, and this is they're called WhatsApp carts, and maybe the terminology is a little bit, I guess, weird, but the bottom line is this: if you're a WhatsApp user, they rolled out WhatsApp product catalogs, and you were able to add your products as a business to your WhatsApp business account. And now they're adding the carts feature so that, for example, let's say Kevin and I are messaging about something. He's like, hey, I have some products that I want to sell. I don't have to go and make multiple transactions through Kevin's shop. Instead, I will be able to make one transaction through WhatsApp. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, do you like the fact that WhatsApp, is starting to add this commerce functionality? What do you guys think?
I think the first thing I say is that it's like Facebook owns all this, right? They own Instagram, they own WhatsApp. They're continuing to combine them all together. And I think that sometimes we can't give the consumer too many choices. So if I have to figure out where I'm going to go shop, I'm going to do nothing. So I think, decide where you want people to shop, make that your focus as a business. Now, this makes a lot of sense maybe in Europe where WhatsApp is big, but I think that it kind of goes back to the resistance to change that I see with a lot of people, especially probably mine and Kevin's age, that the technology is a big enough hurdle as it is, but now you want me to download another app and shop somewhere else. I think it'll work for a certain sector. I think it could be great because, it's kind of that whole idea. What I think Facebook is attempting to do is get people off of website shopping, and then they get a piece of the pie. So it's definitely a money play on Facebook's part to get to grow another revenue stream.
Yeah,
it looks nice. I would be curious: is it just products? You can't sell services, maybe? Because it would be nice to be able to say, "Oh, I've got an hour of consulting. Just order it here through WhatsApp," and it would go into my Calendly and set up the appointment. But I don't know. I think that's I feel like we're being given too many choices in this space in general of where do I go shop.
No, they make a lot of sense. I mean, the bottom line is if I'm the customer, it needs to be as easy for me. And if I'm the business, honestly, I really don't need to worry about where I'm listing my products necessarily. Like I don't need to be, I don't necessarily be as concerned about, well, let me put them on my website because I have to go where the customers are at. So for example, if the customers, if Amazon is the site where they're looking to shop, then I need to put my products on Amazon, and I realize that doesn't work for every single customer, every single business. Some businesses, for example, don't want to put their product on Amazon because they want to keep it they want to keep, as much of that product to themselves, like the revenue from it. But I don't know. I like the idea that people are now able to do the shopping. I think at some point, what we're probably going to see is Facebook's going to have a reliance on catalog on Facebook that will then translate across Instagram and WhatsApp. You know how, Jim, how like you can go and turn on certain features, say, well, oh, I want to have this go across Facebook and Instagram. I'm guessing at some point there's going to be a button where somebody can be able to pick, oh, well, I only want this product on Facebook and Instagram, but hey, I don't want it in my WhatsApp catalog. And I want this one, this one, this one there. And it's going to really come down to this. It's going to come down to A/B split testing of product. I think on the platform that you're trying to sell, because to your point, if I'm trying to sell services don't work if I'm just in a WhatsApp chat, unless it's like the person doesn't need to know anything about me and they just want to sign up for something. But you're absolutely right, both of you. So like there's way too many options, I think, right now for people to go and make purchases. Now if I'm a business, what do you think? Or anything else you want to add on this, I guess?
Well, I was just going to say, this kind of goes back to something we bring up periodically. This goes back to the whole rented land perspective of, do I really want all my stuff something that I don't control? I mean, if the site goes down, and we've seen that happen with Facebook, and if that's where all my proverbial eggs are, I can't do anything. If they kick me off because I supposedly said or did something against their community standards, once again, I'm left, and it's not like there's a 1-800 number for me to call to get an answer. I have to, so I would just say I would be careful about making this your sole thing. I still think you got to own your own properties. I mean, I think that's sometimes a challenge even, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit later with Kevin, with YouTube creators, right? All their video is on YouTube. And if YouTube shuts them down, then what? But what do you think, Kevin?
Well, I don't use WhatsApp. I've tried it. I just don't use it. I think I can see both sides. If I'm selling a product, first of all, I hadn't thought about the fact that it may be more tangible products as opposed to services. Because if anything, we know the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Snapchats love the big influencers. They want the Rocks and they want the Kardashians. They don't want us, quite honestly. It's not that they don't want us, but they're going to play to the bigger ones. So somebody can mention something on there and then all of a sudden, boom, it sells. And I'm sure that maybe they get a cut of that. So it doesn't surprise me that it may be more product based as opposed to service. The flip side to that is, though, I do think this could help and be an outlet, not the outlet, an outlet for businesses, smaller businesses that are maybe struggling. They need a different revenue stream. They've still got a great product, but people aren't coming to the brick and mortar because of the virus and other things like that. Maybe this is a different way to sell, which then can create competition, which is not a bad thing. I can see it going more to that messenger route because I was messaging with a guy the other day, a friend of mine on Facebook, and he's asking for, hey, what camera are you using and what cable? So I'm having to go over here and get the link and go over here and paste it. Well, if I could just say, hey, here's my catalog, if you will, right here. So I don't know. I can see it both ways, maybe.
Yeah, I think like competition's good, but at the same time, you also have to have a unique selling proposition. So why is your product unique compared to the fact that a lot of people are also selling the same thing? I think I'm glad. I like the direction things are going. But again, if I'm the business, I do need to spend the time looking at my products and figuring out which ones need to go where. If my demographic, for example, if I have a certain demographic to everyone's point earlier about WhatsApp, a lot of people using it are international. So if I have a product and I want to attract the international user, and I'm not saying, oh, it's just international, but if I have an international audience, I want to make sure that I'm able to make it easy for them to shop, because I don't necessarily have, we're on different time zones. I have limited opportunities to engage with them. So I think that I have to think about it like that. If I have an international audience or something that works well for that audience, then, hey, I may want to make sure I put put something on that platform like WhatsApp versus putting it all here in the US and then hoping everyone here in the US is actually going to use the product. But you do have to do some testing. You got to try some things out. And, Jem, I think you and I have talked about this before, but you don't want to put everything up. You want to pick select products, and then make sure you communicate to your customers, hey, we also have a bigger selection that's available, for example, only on our website. So that way you can have some limited items that only go in certain places. But that's WhatsApp carts. Okay, Jem, what's the next topic we're going to go to?
Let's talk about the Instagram timers.
Instagram timers. So what in the world do we have here? I mean, Instagram timers, is it?
Well, you got to know how long. So I look at this would be as my friend May King would say, the FOMO aspect, right? Like, oh my gosh, there's only 18 hours left for me to get this story, and I gotta see it, or I'm gonna miss it, and I'll never see it again. So I think it's not a bad thing, but what the article goes to talk about a little bit more is the fact that we don't know if what is that 18 hours from? Which story? Is it the most recent story? Is it the oldest story? So all of a sudden, when that 18 hours up, all of a sudden, does it go to like 9 hours because they did another story 9 hours later?
Does it just keep resetting?
Yeah. So I don't know if that'll become, and will that be something that we can turn off? Because maybe I don't want to see how many hours are left, and I don't really care. It's like I'll go to stories when I go to stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I've struggled to be consistent with stories as it is. If anything, I'm doing more with Twitter fleets now because I'm a heavy Twitter user. What's your thoughts on this, Kevin?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's like, do some people need this stress in their life? It's like, oh no, there's only like another hour for me to watch this 15-second story. Okay. I mean, seriously, I mean, you got probably some other issues in your life you need to deal with, right? To me personally, and I love Instagram too, it's not going to make me any more likely to watch that. Because there are some folks like our buddy Sean Cannell. I mean, he'll use, Instagram stories to basically vlog. Well, it's just like bang, 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 bang. And I love Sean. He's a friend. He's a mentor. But I kind of like go, okay. Then I swipe to the next one. So I think this is, my gut is this will go away. I don't see it being a thing unless they're really testing stories even harder now. Don't know. But I don't know. It's like, really? I don't even do the screen time on my phone because I'm afraid of what it'll say.
Right?
I go, oh, I wasn't on it that much. You lied.
That was pretty funny, actually. Yes. I gotta say, I mean, I agree with Jem. I mean, the FOMO aspect is there. Yeah. People are, they want you to stay on the platform, and they have to find, I don't want to say gimmicks, but they got to find new ways to get you to do that. Whether it's, in this case, I mean, it's so simple. It's like, oh, well, hey, just show a different timer, instead of like who the person is. But I mean, personally, I think that honestly, I like the idea of showing that information, but I also still kind of want to know who the user is because, well, to be honest, I don't know who any of these people are in this screenshot. And so I would have to really
They're
know
famous,
these people.
apparently.
I'd have to know these people, and I'd have to recognize who they were. So it's going to come down to like, you're going to have some really good branding as well, I think, if you're going to want to get people to use this and really know who these people are. But I don't know. I mean, again, they're testing things, and they're always testing things. And as a business, the one key takeaway here is that you need to be testing what you do in your business. You need to be trying different things. So to Jem's point, if you find that if Instagram's where you think you need to be, and you're trying to make it work and it's just not working, the great thing is every single other platform. So you can try Facebook stories. You can try WhatsApp even has stories in some cases. You've got LinkedIn stories. You've got YouTube stories. So every single platform has the same thing. You just need to find your audience where they're at and spend the time there versus trying to hit your head against the wall, just trying to make something work.
Now,
So
I could see, but I don't know how that you would do this if like you had a sale. Let's say like, you've launched a course and for the first 24 hours, you're going to offer it like for, 50% off or something like that.
okay.
And that's going, but unless they're going to give you that option, then dude with the baseball cap who's talking, about, hey, he just went shopping, and he bought these cool groceries. I'm making that up. I don't know who the guy is. It's like, okay, so, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Anything else you all want to add? Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Just the last thing. I mean, this kind of reminds me a little bit of the movie, the Social Dilemma that I watched on Netflix. It's kind of this whole thing of like, to your point of like, they want people to spend more time on the platform, right? That's where they start to get into your behaviors and serve up that content. And I don't think I'm with Kevin. It's not going to do anything for me to make me like go on Instagram more because there's a clock on there. I mean,
right. Well, yeah, and I mean, honestly, and you can run the same thing as well on, for example, like on a website. There's the whole FOMO plugin that you can install. So if you have a product you're selling and people are making a purchase, it can pop up on the site. So it's the FOMO aspect. I mean, to Jim's point, it's definitely the FOMO, the fear of missing out, that they're trying to capture. And I mean, I will say this: it really depends on who your demographic is. I think that if I'm the demographic, if I'm the older demographic, for example, I can bet you that they don't care about the FOMO aspect of it. They're like, whatever. It's a fad, big deal. And so it really is going to come down to who your audience is and who you're going to be trying to, get in front of. If it's, the millennial, was it Gen Z or whatever, like they're going to probably care, because they want to have the coolest thing right now, but that is going to fade, I think, out over time. So we've got Instagram stories timers. Okay, Jim, what's the next topic we have for this week?
Well, do you want to go into LinkedIn or you want to talk about YouTube?
Let's do this. We'll put the LinkedIn one in the blog post, by the way. We'll throw the LinkedIn topic. It's called LinkedIn Sales Insights, new tool that they've got there. We will throw that in the blog post recap, and you can get that at socialchefs.com/daily. Yeah, let's talk YouTube, Jim. So what's up with YouTube?
Yeah, so they're continuing to add functionality to, I guess, stopping the bad comments and even warning you that you're about to post a comment that's not maybe nice. And I think so. I think it's a good thing. I mean, I don't know if people will always listen, and I don't know if that will get people off the platforms. It obviously doesn't work on other platforms from what I've seen, and I don't know, Kevin would maybe say too, right? Until you start getting these kind of comments, you just haven't made it yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is a buddy of mine that got into YouTube this year finally, and is enjoying it and seeing some success. He messages me the other day. He's like my brother, and he says, well, I finally got a hater. And the comment was like, you just don't make any sense in your videos. And I said, well, do you make sense in your videos? And he said, yes. And I said, then don't worry about it. Always respond and say, thank you for the feedback. I had a guy just recently, in fact, I shared this on Facebook, said, you talk too much. And I said, it's funny. That's what my elementary teacher said all the time. And look what happened. But I appreciate it. And somebody said, don't feed the troll. And I'm like, no. To me, you want to reply. But yeah, I mean, because this box pops up. Here's the other thing is, what is it looking for? Because if I would always recommend people turn on hold. I think it's called it's hold inappropriate comments. Because if you don't do that and somebody just goes nuts on your channel, YouTube can say, well, Kevin, why didn't you turn this option on? You allowed that on your channel. Mm-hmm. So I've got, I don't allow anybody to post links in the comments, and it'll move that to it's either, I think they call it now review. You can even add profanity filters and stuff like that. So, but the question is, I mean, it's even put things into my review folder that weren't spam. even follow up somebody said. So then you go, wait a minute, that was cool. So no, that's okay. You know, unless there's certain, and I know it's probably all AI based and things too, but it's like, well, would it have taken the talks too much and said, well, that wasn't really nice to say, you know, your mother probably wouldn't appreciate that. So we're going to put that over here. Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's, you know, now if it causes some people to go, well, maybe I shouldn't say, you know, you're a butthead. Okay. I won't post that, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I mean, to see what, to see whether, you know, whether this is actually something that people are going to like. I mean, I'm all for having warnings, but there's going to get to be a point where there's just too many of them. You know, Twitter's got this feature as well. I can't remember. I will assume Facebook has it as well. But, you know, I agree that like they should try to warn somebody, but at the same time, some people they're set in their ways. They're always going to be set in their ways. So by you doing that, you're just annoying them more. You know, and to Kevin's point, you know, you need to like just ignore it. I mean, just, you know, develop a thick skin. You know, don't take everything personal. So if somebody said something negative on your channel, address it. You know, and address it or thank them, for example. And it's like if somebody, for example, makes a mistake at something, or you don't succeed at doing something like hitting a mark or a goal or something like that. The thing is, you can learn from that. So if somebody says something like, hey, you talk too much, maybe I do need to just stop and think and look at my video and say, well, hey, you know what? Maybe they were right. Oh, I filmed that video. Maybe that was the first YouTube video I ever did. You know, we all know that's a process. And so just, you know, don't take offense to it, but actually maybe see, you know, hey, maybe they were right if I see more people doing it. So,
or as a friend of mine said, well, then just, if you think I talk too much on YouTube, don't listen to my podcast.
And it's a fine line. I mean, it's like, accept the comment and move on, you know, and handle it and move on. And don't let it linger, for example. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it stop you moving forward. So, I mean, because you're not going to be able to change people.
My gut is there's and I do believe it's a very, very small percentage of the population that they're mean. You know, they can't wait to just, you know, flame you with a comment, you know, and I think it happens to all different creators, possibly bigger channels. I don't think it will do one thing to deter those folks, because I think they're just, you know, they're just kind of bent to begin with, and that's that's what they want to, you know, it's kind of like the Joker in The Dark Knight, you know, just, you know, or what did Alfred say? Some people just, you know, they want to just see the world burn. But I think the other people might go, well, okay, you know, maybe I need to think about that. I don't know.
I would like to see, to your point earlier, and I that's like obviously something I need to go out and do on my channel. I would like for them sometimes to maybe take a look at these links that people are attempting to post and say, that's an inappropriate link. Because sometimes you just like, I don't even want to click the link that they've posted in the comment because it just seems weird to begin with.
Yeah. And I've had some innocent ones, you know, where somebody the other day posted and said, you know, they actually wanted me to look at the video they were doing because it was a video quality thing, which is not, I mean, I just don't really troubleshoot like that anyway. I think that's innocent, as opposed to some of the things out there, which are just, you know, hey, here's how you get something free, and you know it's spam, and you know it's illegal and stuff like that. So that's why I just decided, rather than, for me, I'm just gonna, you know, if you drop a link into my comments, it's just gonna go to the review folder, which then can allow me to reach out to that creator and say, hey, I appreciate the comment, but I just don't do links in the channel, you know, and that way you hopefully build a relationship rather than just, well, you know, the dude blocked me. You know, I don't know why.
Right.
And by the way, we have a great comment here from Cast Ahead. So from Chris Stone, talking too much is a compliment. Kevin brings more value. And here's the thing. I mean, you can use that as fuel to help you, you know, as well. If people are like, hey, you know, you do talk too much. I mean, it's not about beating your chest and always making the most noise.
Right.
It is about, you know, having something worthwhile to say. So don't just talk for the sake of you talking necessarily. So how's the audio sounding, by the way? If you're tuning in, just to let us know. made a couple of adjustments, a couple of tweaks. Hopefully it's improved my audio. But Jim, what's next?
Yeah, let's talk about one of my favorite platforms, Twitter. And I've got an interesting new update or I should say, proposing potentially an update, and that's with replies, which can be focused to just your followers, which I'm not sure what I think about that.
This is a very fascinating update, I think, or saying I want to say update. I think it's a very fascinating idea. So, okay. So if Twitter, I mean, there's not a whole lot that we know about this, obviously, like if Twitter were limiting replies. By the way, for those of you watching, Taylor Swift has announced a 9th studio album. If Taylor Swift's your thing. So that literally just broke.
I will sleep so much better tonight.
Yes.
Knowing that.
Put it on your wish list on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, to me, Twitter's always been about being an open platform. So I'm not sure, in looking at the article that I saw about it. So if you reply to your followers only, does that mean they're actually going to see it? I mean, it still goes back to, I think the life of a tweet is 18 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't see the reasoning behind it. I've always thought it was weird when people have like you have to get approved to be one of their followers thing. I mean, private Twitter profiles don't make sense to me either, just based on what the platform is supposed to be about, which is an open, quick communication thing. So I'm not I don't think I would use it. I just don't see the point in it, because it's kind of like, if you're going to put something on social media, everyone's going to see it.
True.
So I just, so what, you're going to reply only to a select group of people and think that no one else is going to find out about it? I mean, that's why people take screenshots all the time and then post it on Facebook. So yes, I don't like it.
I don't really understand what the point of this is. I mean, I only play in a few social media platforms anyway. I mean, obviously YouTube I love, and Facebook I just enjoy. Instagram I go back and forth on, but Twitter, to me, I've come to like just love to be able to get on and throw something out there. And I mean, I've been able to tweet to people and have them respond that of a Elon Musk stature, if you will, not him, but you know what I mean, because Twitter kind of sometimes will level that playing field, right, where you can just throw things out there and people will respond, Gary V or somebody like that. But now it's like all of a sudden it feels a little like an exclusive club on a free platform. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you have the ability to build these direct message groups. Yeah. If you want to have your small, whatever, this private conversations that are not on Twitter, but I don't, I'm with you, Kevin. I'm not really sure that I see the value add in doing it.
Yeah. I mean, part of the allure for me of Twitter is that when you tweet, sometimes you'll get comments from people you don't know.
Yes.
And and they can be bad, but they can be, they challenge you on things. And by the way, if you ever want to get a comment, just diss like a DC movie or a Marvel movie. That's all you got to do. I made some comment once about, I'm a Batman fan, and, the number of people played play Batman versus Iron Man, and oh my word, you'd thought I'd announced that Disneyland had closed down for life. I mean, it was just like, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Now, if I had just limited that to my followers, I don't know.
Right. The echo chamber, right? Does it become the echo chamber? Only the people that like you are responding when you do it to only your followers.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, and you bring up a good point too about the life of a tweet. It's like, now, unless they're going to put a timer on it, they could do that. The timer or the tweet. Hurry up. The tweet's going away in like 30 seconds.
We'll see what happens. I mean, again, it's a feature they're testing. I like the fact that they're testing it. to see, what actually works. But part of it is the surprise. I mean, if for example, if people can't reply to you that are not following you, like maybe somebody just happened to Jem's point, like tweets aren't out there very long. So sometimes people will it just happens to show up and they didn't intend to actually go, and look for something, but hey, you happen to show up, for example. And so that's where I think that this could be particularly useful, where this feature is not useful because, it removes the ability for that person to then be able, like, they're not going to just go follow you, because that's the other thing. You want to make sure that you're following the right types of people. It's that whole Twitter one-to-one relationship. You don't want to follow more people than are following you back. And people sometimes, Jem, you and I have talked about this before. One thing we'll do is, instead of following somebody, you can put them into a Twitter list and check out their tweets and then decide to go follow them at some point. I realize that's a fairly manual process, but it also, you're not all of a sudden going to go follow somebody just like boom on a whim,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm glad they're testing it, but again, I mean, it's not something that I think is going to move the needle. I mean, if I'm a business, for example, I don't want this because I want everybody to be able to reply to me. So I don't want to limit my options.
I'd rather have the ability to edit my tweet after my big fat fingers misspell everything and send it and go, oh man.
We keep asking for that, but they don't listen.
We get everything but the
everything but
everything.
that,
Yeah.
Okay. So now what we're going to do for Act 2 of Social Chatter, we're going to move into just a couple of questions for Kevin. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Kevin. So I think recently you hit a big milestone on YouTube. You hit, 2,000 subscribers?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was just a week or two ago, something like that.
Fantastic. So, you hit 2,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
I know this is not something that a lot of people like. People want to get that subscriber count because they want the monetization on Twitter, on YouTube. But it's hard to get subscribers, right?
It is. Yeah.
Tell us your story. Like, when did you get started? For example, I want to say it was maybe right before the pandemic, but like, what kind of subscriber count were you at then? What are you at now?
Yeah.
And what are some techniques, stock techniques?
So according to YouTube, I think my channel was started in 2017. The reality of it is, I think I had a channel before that and I deleted some stuff and then restarted. So we'll just go with 2017. But, up until around March, April of this year, I was around 400 subs. And the funny thing is, I've taken the courses. I know some of the basic things to do. I was preaching it to people, but I wasn't following anything I was talking about. I was inconsistent. I was inconsistent on when I uploaded. I was inconsistent on what I uploaded. I'd go do a video and throw it up and then go, okay, well, what do I want to call this? And let me figure out a thumbnail and do everything that you really shouldn't do. Now, I do think though that you have to have fun with the platform. But if you just want to do YouTube, as like the friend I mentioned earlier, and I said to him, you have to decide, his name's Eddie, do you want to, do YouTube as a hobby, or could you see it as a business or funneling a business or helping your business? You have to make that decision. And if YouTube is nothing but a hobby, I'm just going to do stuff, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted it to be more for me. And so I got serious and I got focused. Okay. And what happened is I started researching what people wanted and needing, as opposed to me just throwing something out there hoping they needed that and wanted it. And I did the research before I started recording. I kind of adopted more of a thought out thumbnail strategy and title and I don't always nail it. Sometimes I think, wow, this is really clicking, and it doesn't. I'd had TubeBuddy, but I never used TubeBuddy, and I really started using TubeBuddy to do more research and see what's working, even to the point of A/B testing thumbnails. And I'll be surprised. I'll be honest. I had a couple of thumbnails that I really liked, but when I did a different version of them, that one did better. And I'm like, well, you know what? Fine. Put the ego at the door and use what people will want to click on. Because if they're not clicking it, it doesn't matter what you're doing. And so once I started seeing some growth, I set some goals, and I said, I'm going to post more consistently and have my videos, try and dial those in a little bit more. And I set some goals. I thought, I want to get to 1,000 subscribers by August 1st. And I got there on July 31st or 30th. How many ever days there are in July? I think 31st. Math is not my thing, nor either days of the week or calendars.
But you did get that right, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. And then I thought, I want to be in the YouTube partner program by the end of the year, and I got accepted into it October 22nd. And if people don't know what that means, is you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, and it's all aggregated.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, it'd be really great if I could get to 2,000 subs by the end of the year. And I think I got there the 1st of December. And it sounds like it can be all about the numbers. There are milestones on YouTube that certain things happen. When you have 100 subscribers, you can get a custom URL. So that's why I can say, hey, it's youtube.com/Kevin Kolbe, as opposed to UV79V, all the string of numbers everybody gets. When you get into the partner program, you unlock the ability to have things like super chat, community. I didn't realize that 1,000 subscribers, you could get the community tab, which is another way to just talk with your community. I found out just today that YouTube has given me now the ability to have memberships on my YouTube channel, which is still a small channel. And it's like, okay, I need to really think through that, because if I can offer extra things to folks that want to subscribe and at the same time maybe earn some money too, that's huge, right? So it really took me getting focused and serious and stepping back and going, what don't I need on my channel? I did a lot of story videos that I was still proud of. So what I did is I spun off a different channel that I really don't focus on that much, but my stories do have a place to live on the interweb, that it's all public and things like that. So it's been exciting. I've been able to reach people that I couldn't reach before, build some new relationships, and get some projects that there's a couple I can't talk about yet because we haven't done the deal, but it all leads to stuff. And but it was getting real and getting focused, and some steps in there and using the tools that I had that I wasn't using.
So basically it's talking the talk. If I had to sum it up, it would be basically talking the talk. So like, you mentioned getting serious, for example. So a lot of people, and it's not just buying the equipment either. So it's getting the right. So for example, before going and buying the equipment, it's taking stock of what you have. So for example, if I don't have a camera, your every laptop pretty much has a built-in webcam, right?
Yes.
Also saying, okay, well, I have a smartphone, for example. Do I need to actually go and buy another camera? That's another thing, I guess. So that way I'm not letting the equipment be the issue.
Right.
And then, as far as microphones, just picking a good microphone. I mean, Jem, you and I talked about how important audio is for live video and just video overall, and podcasting, obviously. I know, like, you're using the ATR 2100, right? I think it's like $100 mic, right, Jem?
No, I'm actually using the cheaper than that, the Samsung Q2U, which is about $80.
Yeah. $80, yeah.
But they're very similar microphones.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to go and buy the most expensive items. So you can remove the tech, and then getting to your point, getting serious, getting focused, making sure that if this is a hobby, then okay, treat it like a hobby, and don't go into it with the expectations of I'm going to generate a whole bunch of money and I'm going to get a whole bunch of subscribers, because you're not doing it for other people. You're doing it just for yourself at that point. And on a whim. And
let me throw out too, it takes time. I think there's too many folks that think, I'll start a YouTube channel, and I'll throw some videos up, and in no time I'll have that silver play button. And Sean Cannell says this a lot. It is a marathon. Now it sometimes can only take a video to launch your channel. And I have had a video that I would be lying if I told you that I knew it would do what it did. Because if I did that, all the other videos after that would have done that. But sometimes it only takes a video to get you some exposure. And YouTube, I don't believe at all. They've said this, they don't favor a size of channel. They want videos that people will watch and stay on the platform. So it doesn't, that's why sometimes if you type in, how to use your phone as a webcam, you may see a channel that has fewer subscribers still pop because that video served that purpose better. But yeah, you got to realize it takes time. And I think we live in a world where, we want it now, we want it now, we want it now. And YouTube, no platform is like that. But Christian, you said something I think is very important, and I've probably not talked about this enough. So thank you. It may give me a topic for a future video, is that in my refocus and my getting serious and my dialing it in, not one time did I ever think about the gear. Mm-hmm. Not one time did somebody say, well, I'd subscribe to that channel if they had a better camera. Yep, or right. Now they audio is important. And I did dial up my equipment because for other reasons too, with clients and things like that. Like I stream now in 4K, and a year ago I would have said I would have never messed with that. Well, now I do. Mm-hmm. But do I think everybody has to? No. So the debates or the discussions about what is the best camera, or when I have the right gear, then I'll start. You'll never start. There is no right gear. There is no best camera, And so in my list of what I did to grow, and I'd never thought about this, and you brought this up, will never be gear, ever, ever. Now, my setup is completely different than it was a year ago, but that's because I keep refining in based on what makes it easier for me to create, where I can turn the camera on, I can record, I can be done if I want to. And that to me is more about, helping you, not getting more subscribers, not reaching more people.
Definitely. And, and to your point, and Jem, feel free to jump in here as well. But, Jem, when you and I started the Live podcast, initially we were like, oh, we had this long list of stuff we were going to do. And then we got serious and we said, okay, you know what? We just need to launch this. And we had that fear initially of, well, what if nobody downloads this? What if it doesn't sound right? We wanted to try to get it perfect. And what we ended up doing was we just put it out there. And what did we do? We just hit 2,000 downloads on that. And a lot more to come there. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're happy with that because, I thought that was like a clapboard there.
Sorry. I'm trying to be very quiet with my very noisy water bottle, and
that's a product design test. Actually, they probably need to test that one. Like,
I need to sell that on WhatsApp.
Close water bottle or something. But back to what I was saying was that we initially started setting up all these parameters, trying to make things perfect, and it was like, well, no, we just need to get it out there. And then we started to refine it. For example, we now have a script writing process that we use for every episode. We come up with the idea, and then, we take a few minutes, we sit down and script it out and make sure that it flows nicely. And then everything's done so that when we do the recording, we're ready to go, versus, oh, let me turn the camera on, and just start talking, for example, or in this case, turn the audio on. We make sure that we use, that we're ready to go. And again, if you know your topic and you're good at what you do, it's not gonna be an issue talking about it at all. Yeah. So you can talk for days about it. So, Jim, do we have any other questions for Kevin? I'm really, I'm excited for him to have reached this 2,000 subscriber milestone.
Thanks, man.
And I like the fact.
Well, I guess the question would be, Kevin, have you started to look into YouTube merch at all, and how does that work?
Well, honestly, I thought about it. Until I got memberships, that wasn't available. I have a store on Teespring that I think the only shirts I've sold are the ones I've bought. My mother doesn't have, my parents don't have the internet, so they can't even support me that way. I don't know if that would be a part of the membership, because again, it literally just got unlocked today. And so I haven't done a deep dive into what YouTube recommends. And that is the other thing too. If I can just kind of divert a little, YouTube gives you the tools. There's the Creator Academy, which is free. There's the Creator Insider channel, which is free. So for anybody to say, I can't make it on YouTube, I don't understand what to do, they're not helping me, they're just not paying attention. If that's you out there, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you're not paying attention, because there are things out there that YouTube will tell you. Here's what's important to us. Here's how you can do it. I mean, they're even telling me in the membership thing, that it may be harder to grow that because of the size of the channel and the engagement level, but let us help you with that. Why not take advantage of that? So, merch, I don't know. I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to buy a Kevin Kolbe Media shirt. I can't even get my kids to buy it. So I know there's nobody else out there, but that's why I rethought and thought, let me do kind of cool creative type shirts. And if somebody wants one, that's great. This one, I bought for like $1 at a thrift store, and because I liked the show and the shirt was $1. So
nice.
I don't know.
Well, Scott Ayers mentioned earlier in the show that he loved your shirt, by the way.
I saw. I appreciate that.
Let me see.
I wore it just for you guys.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if you're gonna this applies to all the social media channels. And I want to say this. I mean, from just from a business standpoint, like if you're a business and you're trying to use YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, you don't necessarily need to go hire a person to do this. Like, for example, if it's Facebook ads you want to learn, Facebook has something called Facebook Blueprint. And it's a whole like free course that you can go through and you can read more about it. And they walk you through examples and things like that. If you need somebody to actually run your ads, yeah, sure. Okay. Maybe you want to hire somebody to do that, but you can at least educate yourself on doing it. The same thing though for, LinkedIn, same concept. Hey, I want to learn how to use LinkedIn. Look at it's an open canvas. Look at it, see what other people are doing. Hey, how are they getting all these engagement numbers? Is it the fact that hey, they have a big audience? It's not the fact that, oh, I have a lot of people following me. I have quality people following me that care about what I have to say. It goes back to Jem, what you and I have always talked about. And it's just the fact that make sure you put out good quality information. So, that's going to attract viewers. It's going to get people to tune in. If you've got, an engaging personality and you actually talk with your audience, for example, or you don't just run your live videos and don't respond to comments, for example, or acknowledge people, they're not going to tune in. They're not going to come back. So it comes down to just having something good, good and worthwhile that's worth somebody's time.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a good point. I mean, I still respond to every comment. I mean, my channel is now, I get there's channels like a Nick Nimmin, who's like, what is he at 500,000 subscribers? I mean, it's going to be hard to probably go through and respond to 1,000 comments in the first hour, right? Or whenever. Mm-hmm. But, I still respond to everything. Somebody commented the other day, they just said, seriously? And I said, yeah. I mean, okay, that's a comment, triggers the algorithm. But it's like, yeah, I see it as a community. I've been able to connect with folks. I mean, I did a live stream the other day and there was a guy that joined from Israel. I mean, that, and then there's another guy that said he subbed my channel and he lives in Ireland. I think that is so cool. So cool. So why not just learn from him? Check out his channel. Oh, wow, that's some pretty cool stuff. Maybe I subscribe to him, not because he subscribed to me, but because I like what he's doing.
Right.
Exactly. So, Jem, you want to move into the third act of the show?
Sure.
So the third act is tool time, where we're going to talk about 2 tools real quickly, that we think can help you as a business. And again, sometimes they're tools, sometimes it's hardware, sometimes it's software, all sorts of just stuff to help you as a business get more done. So, Jem, do you want to talk about the first tool that we have?
I would love to talk about the first tool, and that's Lately. I love this tool. I use it, and what it does is it'll actually allow you to upload even your videos, and it will transcribe them. But what it really does is it uses artificial intelligence to find the snippets that really resonate. And so, as they like to say, they get you to third base, and then you personalize it to take it home. And it'll actually let you schedule out of here. So let's say, as an example, we could take the download of this show, and it would find, where Kevin said some of his brilliance, and pull that clip out with a link to the original video. We could put in there, and we could put hashtags. We could tag Kevin, and we use it for Dealcasters Live. Use it for the Tim and Jim show. Just love what Kate and her team are doing with this tool. You can even upload your podcast, and it will also transcribe it to let you take that. And it's extremely fast. I mean, you're talking, you can get this stuff done in minutes. And so lately, if you haven't checked it out, it's not the cheapest tool in the world, but I think it's well worth the investment.
So what are we talking about from a cost standpoint, roughly?
Well, I pay, because I allow the video transcription, everything, about $250 a month.
Okay.
But if you want to do it without having the ability to do the video part, where it does the transcription for you, it's about $100 a month, a little bit over that. But definitely worth checking out. Run a demo. I think you can't believe how fast it does this stuff, and it does it very accurately.
Fantastic. Kevin, have you used this tool before?
I have not. I was actually checking it out while he was talking about it. He may have stopped me at the price per month, but I've heard of it, but I've never really checked it out. But the whole video part sounds amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And from a cost standpoint, here's the thing. I mean, you have to look at how much time, like a lot of people look at it and they look at it not to some people look at the cost and they immediately are like, well, hey, I'm not going to spend that much. And then you have to look at, well, how much more time can it save?
That's true. Yeah.
If it can save me a lot of time, then it's worth spending the extra money in some cases to have something that will, for example, free you up to do things. So like, let's say you're not good at repurposing your content. And that's the thing. A lot of people are not. They just publish something and they publish something and move on to the next thing. They need to do the repurposing, because that way it gives the content time to, grow some roots and then start to blossom. And so that's the thing. A lot of people don't do that. And so that's where a tool like this can really help them.
Well, as an example, you upload a video, let's say it's a 30-minute video, and it'll give you 150 potential pieces of content.
Wow.
All based on things people said in like under 20 minutes. Try doing that yourself.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And how much time would that take you? So that's where I think it's a huge time saver. It'll do the same thing with blog post. If you wanted to take a snippet out of a blog post and then maybe add a graphic to it and then take people back to the original blog post. So that's what I think. So especially for me, we use it a lot with Twitter. It'll work with your LinkedIn and Facebook. And I think it'll also, I haven't done it with Instagram, maybe because, goes back to, I haven't really got fully into Instagram. I just haven't spent enough time there.
Yeah.
But I like the fact, because of Twitter, right? You get that stuff out there. It's a great way to create evergreen content as well. So I think for YouTubers, it makes a lot of sense, because you can put that snippet, drive people back to your channel, get that subscriber count up. And with all that money you're making on YouTube, Kevin, it should pay for itself.
Yeah, I think so far I've made enough money to buy 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks, because we know how expensive that is. So.
Love the tool.
And I mean, here's the thing. I mean, again, like to your point as well, like if let's say Twitter, so like it looks like it does work for Instagram, but let's say, for example, Twitter is a place where you kind of want to put some content out there, but you aren't necessarily let's say you just don't like Twitter, but you want to actually keep some content out there because, hey, it's public. It's a great place to go and create some of that content through this tool without having to worry about, I'm neglecting the channel, because you're not really neglecting it at that point. You're putting it out there, and then, you can see how it's actually working and then make the decision. So great tool, definitely something to check out. So Jim, what's the second tool we have for this week?
I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was a tool for SEO tags for YouTube.
Yes. So the tool is it's called Rapidtags. And so this basically will allow you to find the right tags for your YouTube channel. Now, for your video. So granted, Kevin, TubeBuddy, I know, has some functionality built in as well for this, for suggesting tags. this will actually help find some tags. So let me see this. Let me see if we can actually, let's see, let's do use for free. Okay. So let's just, is there anything you want to like test out maybe, Kevin? We can just see.
Test out live streaming.
Okay, let's see. Live streaming. So enter your next YouTube video title to generate tags. So what do you think would be a good title, Kevin?
How to get started with live streaming. Totally made up.
Okay, so how to get started with live streaming. So here's the thing. Let's say we want to come up with some tags. So let's see what comes back. And hopefully these are good results. There we go. So here's what they've given us. Now, remember, YouTube has a limit on the number of characters you can put in tags. So it's 500. And I'm going to assume this is 500 characters here. And so now, instead of having to go over to YouTube and let me try to, if you aren't using TubeBuddy, for example, this could be a good tool to use, or you could even supplement it with TubeBuddy as well to kind of see, well, what tags are they recommending versus which ones are TubeBuddy recommending. But now all you have to do, if you want to apply these to your YouTube videos, just copy all the tags just like that. And now I can go over to my YouTube video, edit the video in the YouTube studio, and go and now apply the right tags to my video. Now, this also helps you because, for example, it's how to get started with live streaming. So like, for example, maybe Twitch is not something that we want to target. We might want to remove that, for example. Getting started, that's a little bit too basic, too broad, I guess. So maybe we want to remove that, but that does give us a good base, I think, to work with. What do you guys think about this tool?
I think it's interesting. I mean, again, nothing against Rapidtags. I use TubeBuddy, and so that feature's built in.
Yeah.
Tags are important, but I don't think they do what some people think they do, so they end up wanting to stuff it. So, like, for example, just looking at what it pulled up here,
right?
You would want to make sure your video is talking about Amazon Live or OBS or things like that, or Mixer. So you want to make sure your tags have something to do with the specifics of that video, because they're basically a signal to YouTube to help them, even know a little deeper about what that's about. So if like you were typing all, Amazon and Stitcher and OBS, and you didn't even mention any of that, then that's kind of a misdirection. So I think it's interesting. I'll leave it at that. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Kevin. I mean, because I use TubeBuddy, and so as an example, even this is showing me these tags. What TubeBuddy would tell me would be like, make sure that this is in the first 200 characters of your description.
Yeah,
this isn't really telling me any of that. It's just like, hey, here's some tags, and I'm not seeing relevance. And maybe that's if you pay for it, you get that, but. I don't know. I become a huge fan of what TubeBuddy does. To Kevin's point, I use the product, and full disclosure, I guess, as they would say. But I think there's always these new tools coming out, and so I think definitely something. If somebody does want to jump into TubeBuddy, if anything, the lesson here would be you need to be putting tags out there. I mean, even channel tags, right? A lot of people don't. I just. To Kevin's point earlier about the, like the cobbler, right? I finally have started putting channel tags on my channel, because it's like, well, how is anyone going to find it if I don't have tags out there?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if anything, and this is maybe a different topic for a different show, but about research, is that you can almost over research, where then you become, what is the phrase, the paralysis of analysis, and there's so many tools out there, and it's like, okay, let me just focus in on the one or two that I use, that I'm comfortable with, trust to a degree. And, but I think what that tag thing might get is people to understand, oh, they're tags. What is that? And then you could even maybe use that with something like a TubeBuddy or a vidIQ, which is also a great product. I just use TubeBuddy. And see kind of what it's serving up. And, because my first tag is always what my topic is. So if I was going to do a video about how to get started with live streaming, my first tag is always going to be how to get started with live streaming.
Yeah,
it's always going to be. And on that example, I think it was the third or something like that. But again, you have to use it with a grain of salt.
Right. And
Right.
and here's the thing. I mean, it's going to give you a baseline to work from
Mhm.
is the first thing. And then the other thing, to both Kevin and Jem's point, is that you want to make sure you supplement. So you want to write a title, you want to write a description, and you want to include tags. Now, you don't necessarily want to start with the tags. You want to write, well, what
Yeah.
you want a focus keyword, and then you put that in the description. Now, then when you put in your tags, this is where like you want to make sure they're relevant to what your video is about.
Yep.
So, for
Absolutely.
example, if you're talking about how to get started with live streaming, that's a very broad topic. And this is where things like in the description would be useful. So, for example, if you did have a very long video about how to get started with live streaming and you had chapter markers, how to get started with live streaming on Facebook, on Instagram,
Mhm.
sorry, Instagram doesn't have live, sorry, on at least live through streaming platforms. But Facebook, YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, Twitch, for example, then those would make sense for the video. And then you may want to include relevant tags, but you want to make sure that as you're adding the tags that they relate to the actual content you're talking about. So you do want to change some of those out. So maybe I'll go through this and say, well, hey, how to get started with live streaming. I want that. How to live stream. Great. That makes sense. How to get started with live streaming for your business. That makes sense. And a couple of other ones. But then there's some that are like, okay, let me weed those out because
Yeah.
they don't add like how to stream on Twitch, maybe, but it comes down to what your content's about. So
Yeah.
Again, I mean, use the tools to help guide you. Don't
Yep.
use them as the exact thing that you need to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know we ran a couple minutes over today, but I want to thank everyone for joining us for episode 270 of my
Wow.
live social media marketing talk show, Social Chatter. So Kevin, if you want to get in touch with you, by the way, what's the best place for them to do that?
You could probably just go to my website. It's kevinkolbe.com. That is a little bit about what I do and some things on there. Obviously, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love that, which is youtube.com/Kevin Kolbe.
Fantastic.
And those would be the best ways.
And Jem, how about you? What about if people want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, Twitter, I'm at Fusion Marketing, and it's MKTG. But also, I have a YouTube channel, but it's not at 100 subscribers yet, so it's a bunch of code. But if you go search for Fusion Marketing, I think you'll find it.
Fantastic. Yeah. And, congrats all around. I mean, 2,000 subscribers, 2,000 downloads, big milestones.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I know people want those bigger numbers. They want 5 and 10,000, and they want that 100,000 number and whatnot. The numbers are important, but again, it comes down to the content and the messaging you're providing.
Yep.
So just a couple of quick notes real quick. If you want to get the blog post recap, socialchefs.com/SC270. That'll be published this weekend. So we'll have that. We also have the Alexa flash briefing as well. If you want to go check that out, that'll basically sum up everything we talked about here in probably about 10 minutes or less. Basically, it's just me talking, telling you roughly what we covered. So you may want to check that out. And then also don't forget next Thursday, Jem, we're going to have Scott Ayers from Agora Pulse join us. Kevin, we're going to have you back again also very soon. But Scott is going to join us, youtube.com/socialchefs or facebook.com/socialchefs. He's the scientist, the mad social media scientist behind Social Media Lab at Agora Pulse. But be sure to join us for that show. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in and for watching. Thanks a lot, everyone. And we will see you all next Thursday at 10 a.m. Bye, everyone.